Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it is time to stop some misinformation being spread over on YouTube by my friend or nemesis, whatever you want to call him, Theo, who started his Hearthstone YouTube channel pretty recently. In one of his videos he made recently, the top 10 worst legendaries ever in Hearthstone, and I have to say, I disagree with a lot of it. So today, we're gonna go over the proper list, the cards that are the actual worst, and compare it to his incorrect list. And definitely, don't go check out Theo's YouTube channel, don't go subscribe to his channel, and don't help support him and check out his other content, because he's starting out, he's doing really well, and I think it's time to bring him down a peg and go over what I feel are the worst legendaries of all time. If you enjoy the content on my channel and you feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, it helps us out a lot. And there are a couple rules to mention that Theo has established for this list. Is no meme cards like a Nosdormu, a Cho'Gall, like a Lorewalker Cho, cards that are supposed to kind of be bad, we're not going to include in there. And even a card like Millhouse isn't included because yes, it was part of Call to Arms Paladin, and we're kind of keeping it to the first 10 years, not including the most recent set. Not that really any of those would qualify. And this includes any form of any legendary. So like Acid Mob, which is actually pretty good right now at 3 mana. It used to be horrendous at 7, or like the Jailer, which is terrible right now, used to be really good in its original form. So let's go. Let's take a look at what the worst legendaries are from Theo and which ones it really should be from me. So immediately, Theo makes a horrible mistake. Sheldur's Moontree, 8 mana Druid legendary. The next 3 spells you draw or cast when drawn. Incredible. Can get like UI, you can get Nourish, all sorts of great stuff. Okay, the card's pretty bad, but it doesn't quite make my list, where at number 10, although this card will appear on his list, is the Boogie Monster, an 8 mana 6/7. Whenever this attacks and kills a minion, gain +2/+2, one of the worst cards of all time. I imagine if it came out today, it would have like Rush, cost like 2 mana less, and still be absolutely dreadful. But yeah, I'm putting it lower on the list, and I'm not including Sheldur's on my list whatsoever. At number 9, Theo put in Mimiron's Head, which if you have at the start of your turn at least 3 mechs, you destroy them all and form Voltron, giving you an 8 mana 4/8 charge Mega Wind Fury. I thought there were no memes on the list, Theo. What are you doing here? But regardless, it is certainly not worthy of a top 10 worst legendary of all time. I watched Crit play this at like rank 15 in Wild in his Quest Mage deck, and it was pretty good. He won some games with it, but overall it actually was okay in Quest Mage in Wild. I don't think it was a powerhouse, but by no means one of the worst legendaries. And for me, my number 9 is So Goth the Slitherer. It's a 9 mana 5/9 taunt with elusive. It's already gone through its expansions of buffs with like all the twist stuff, and they still didn't buff it. Like, just take a look at the Guardian card for Druid in comparison. That's not even a legendary, has better stats. It's got Reborn. That did see a little bit of play. And So Goth, although Theo claims he played in Control Warrior, absolute terrible card, and number 9 on my list. Number 8, Theo has the Skeleton Knight, a Grand Tournament neutral legendary, 6 mana, 7/4 undead, Death Rattle. You reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, return this to your hand. I will say, this is on my list. I just can't believe he has it number 8. This is one of the worst cards of all time, where you're almost punished for winning a joust. How you win it, so you gotta be running more greed to try and win that joust, and then get this terrible card that's just a 7/4, easy to kill, and then I have to spend 6 mana on it again just for it to die, and maybe I get to play it again. It's like negative tempo. It is one of the worst cards of all time, and certainly Theo certainly deserves to be higher on this list. And for me, at number 8 is a card not on his list, Grifta, a 4 mana 4/5 neutral cards like a Yeti, but it's got the battle cry of discover 2 cards, and basically your opponent gets one, you get one. There's no way of knowing which one you'll get. It's a total crapshoot. You can try to use it as a mill card, some kind of value card, but you might end up giving your opponent something really good, or just something of use, and give yourself crap. What are you spending this on? It's just a weird, terrible card, and is absolutely number 8. Skeleton Knight is way worse than Grifta, okay? Way worse than Grifta. Number 7, Theo has the Warlock legendary Commander Ulthok, a pretty recent card, 5 mana 7/7. How are you giving a 5 mana 7/7 on number 7 on the list? Makes no sense. Battlecry, your opponent's cards cost health instead of mana next turn. Like, that's insane. You play this, you get a giant minion, and then if they play stuff, they'll probably die, right? No, terrible card. Even in like aggressive decks where you put your opponent low, like you just want to kill them, not play a 5 mana 7/7. Has seen almost no play, very close to be on my list, but doesn't quite make it. But I'll give Theo a pass. This card is pretty terrible, but on my list is a card that was literally power crept by a 3 mana neutral minion. We'll see that happen again later in Hemet, the like GVG card where it's like a 5 mana 6/3 destroy a beast. It didn't even like silence it, it just destroyed it. Like even like the best beast back in the day, like a Savannah High main, you still gotta deal with the 2 mana 2/2s. It's just terrible for a tech card that's absolutely dead in any other way. It doesn't have any other utility, it doesn't have good stats. It's just an awful tech card that you had to pay a lot for, and there was even like EMP operative later in the day, but at least it wasn't a legendary, so it's number 7 on my list. And number 6, Theo has Hyreek the Bat, an 8 mana Warlock legendary. Why are you picking on Warlock, Theo? You don't like Warlock? What's your deal? He likes Priest. I don't. He does. Anyways, you have a battle cry of fill your board with copies of this minion, which can be incredible with the Spirit of the Bat buffing it, getting a but. Okay, this card's terrible. This card's bad. I didn't put it on my list. I'm going to admit it might qualify, but overall, at the end of the day, it's an 8 mana 7/7 with token synergies, hand buff synergies. It's a beast. It's got some stuff going on. Hemet can only kill a 7th of it. It can't be that bad. So I don't know. I don't think this is a number 6 to me. A number 6 to me is a card like Shaman's Murabi, a 6 mana 4/4. Whenever you freeze a minion, you get a copy of it added to your hand. They added this as a passive effect in duels, and it sucked, and they buffed it. It was the only time this kind of effect to see play. They made it a 1 mana spell in Standard Wild. Saw play. Murabi, one of the biggest jokes of a card ever that everyone memes on, like on Old Free Shaman is like one of the worst archetypes of all time. And Murabi didn't even make his list. How is that possible? Theo, how is Murabi not on your list? At number 5, I have to say, is the biggest atrocity of a placement on this list. Slag Maw the Slumbering. Theo has as the 4 mana 16/16 Rush Taunt, dormant for 6 turns, excavate to awaken 2 times sooner. Sure, the card sucks, but by any means, this would be a pretty insane card just a few years ago. I think the game was just so crazy right now that yeah, you could argue probably dormant for 4 turns. It'd probably be okay, but to be top 5 of all the legendaries out there, it's just unacceptable, Theo. And you like Warrior. His emotes in his Twitch channel are all Warrior based, so I think he's just salty. I'm just gonna admit, I think he's salty that this card isn't better than what it is. For me, I'm also good for number 5. I'm gonna go after Warlock 2 with Wilfred Fizzlebang, the 6 mana 4/4 Warlock legendary. Basically, you hero power, your card is 0 mana. Like, it's some mana cheat, but it's like an 8 mana play to get 1 card basically completely at random, unless you've like dredged, and that mechanic did come out to like what, almost 10 years later. Just a terrible card with really cool artwork, like Draxus in the background, one that never saw play, and I don't think will ever see the light of day. And that's a card that makes things cost 0. That's when you know you've messed up as a bad card, when you actually make 0 mana cards and you're bad. We might see that pop up a little bit later. At number 4, Theo has Harbinger Celestia, the 4 mana 5/6 stealth neutral legendary. After your opponent plays a minion, become a copy of it. We actually saw a very similar card to this with like the whole cosplay card, this expansion. Absolutely dreadful. Like, it could turn into a Doomsayer back in the day, like Firefly, a token. Horrendously bad card, super anti-tempo, just unbelievably bad. And this pick is bad because how is it number 4? It's way worse than number 4. To me, it's at least top 2, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, at least he's got 1 card right on his top 10. Good job, Theo. You got a card right. And for me at number 4 is another absolutely dreadful tech card, even more dreadful than old Hemet himself, in Rend Blackhand. The 7 mana 8/4 neutral legendary no real effect on it other than Battle Cry if you're holding a dragon. So not only is it a tech card, it's a conditional one. You destroy a legendary minion. It's got a condition. On top of its tech ability is a condition on itself. It can only kill legendary minions for 7 mana, and you gotta hold a dragon. It's an 8/4, one of the worst cards of all time. We even saw a 3 mana version of this later on in the game, like Grim Totem Bounty Hunter. Terrible card too. Well, not as bad, but for like this amount of mana, these stats, this condition, the Bounty Hunter did require dragon. It is unbelievably bad and number 4 on my list. Number 3, Theo has the Boogie Monster. We talked about it already. I don't think it's as bad as some of these other cards, but it is pretty bad. It saw play in Battlegrounds. Actually, it really was bad in Battlegrounds too. But for me, number 3, we also talked about it. The Skeleton Knight, absolutely worthy of that number 3 spot. Way worse than all the other cards that Theo has mentioned for the most part, except for one. And again, we got to set Theo straight. So yes, Skeleton Knight, number 3. At number 2, I'm disappointed in you, Theo. At number 2, we have Temporis, the Priest Legendary, 7 mana, 6/6 dragon. Battle Cry. Your opponent takes 2 turns, then you take 2 turns. One of the most overrated bad cards in Hearthstone history. It's one that everyone gets baited into thinking is that bad. It's bad. Don't get me wrong. One of the worst cards, but not enough, because back in the day when Inner Fire Priest, especially Dragon Inner Fire Priest, was a playable deck, Control Warrior was one of the better matchups against it, and a common card run to beat that matchup, which Theo should be well aware of as a Warrior main, was Temporis, because they couldn't do anything with those 2 turns to kill you. Then you just played a big thing, Divine Spirit, maybe another Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, murder them. This saw meta play. It is terrible. Don't get me wrong. Outside of that, horrendous card, and doesn't have the once per turn though. The only card of Wild that could give multiple turns now. But overall, it's not even worthy of my top 10. I feel like people overrate how bad this card is, because if a card like a Millhouse, like Theo mentioned, saw play in Call to Arms, then Temporis should be exempt, as it did see play in Inner Fire. And my number 2, as I mentioned earlier, Heartbringer Celestia. Again, horrendously bad card that's been power crept by a 3-drop common, rare, whatever it is, and that card sucks. It's one of the worst of this expansion. It's just a dreadful mechanic that has never worked. So what is Theo's number 1? Will I disagree with it? Theo's number 1 worst legendary of all time is the Druid legendary Dusk Fallen Aviana. On each player's turn, the first card played costs 0. So yes, another legendary that makes cards cost 0 being on this list. Basically, you play this, your opponent can have like 10 mana. If they have a 10 mana card, it's free. They get a free card, kill this, and then what do you do? Like, what are you doing, right? You can make it go dormant with like Maiev. I know Mark has done stuff like that, but overall, there's not many legendary cards out there that if you play it, you're probably losing the game. And I understand that's probably why I had Temporis on there, but there's never been a meta deck where Duskfallen Aviana has accomplished anything positive outside of a cool Mark video. And there's a lot of bad cards that have made cool Mark videos. And for me, I have to give Theo credit. He got this right. It's my number 1 too. It is by far, for me, the worst legendary in Hearthstone history. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys like this style. Theo's a friend of mine. Just like to tease each other, have a little rivalry. I'm always in his Twitch chat, giving him crap. I'll have his YouTube link down below, his Twitch channel and his video and all that link down below if you want to take a look. And if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know, and maybe we can compare the top 10 best legendaries, because I don't know if I really agree with his top 10 picks on that one either. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.